I want to check in on one stock we are seeing move in the wake of their latest earnings report. That would be Pinterest, getting absolutely shellacked today, off by about 20%. And that's not due to the results that they reported for the quarter actually beat on both its top and bottom lines. Q2 revenue up 125% year over year to hit 613 million. But the big miss there was monthly active users, surprising to the downside for the quarter. 454 million active users on the platform versus the 484.4 million expected. As the company said, people got off its platform as we saw the world open up after the pandemic. Some tough year-over-year comps there. But one analyst is actually saying fair value is closer to $70, actually increased it by $1 in the wake of that big sell-off. And for more on that, I want to bring him on to discuss what could be a buying opportunity as we see shares come back by a wide margin. Ali Mogharabi, Morningstar analyst, joins us once again here. And when we look at Pinterest, Ali, I mean, no one wants to see monthly active users decline that much in a quarter. But talk to me about what you saw that still has you thinking fair value is at 70.
Yeah, Zach. First off, as you know, we weren't necessarily bullish on this name. I think I came on a while back, and you and I certainly talked about it. Right now, with basically the 19-20% decline, it may create a buying opportunity. A couple of things that we actually see as attractive. While the user count is actually declining, or has been, or is expected to decline, and did decline year over year, keep in mind that they're actually facing tougher comps. So they haven't necessarily lapped through that through the pandemic last year, which actually helped them increase their user base. But also keep in mind that user monetization is actually improving tremendously. Part of that, of course, is driven by the return to ad spending overall by the advertisers due to the economic recovery. Part of that, though, is also due to the fact that there's more engagement going on by the users that stay on there. And of course, as we know, the users actually get on that platform with the intent to purchase, whether in the short term or in the long run. So all of that certainly attracts advertisers, and we actually think that that's going to continue next year and in the long term.
So let's talk about some of those features that you pointed to that are likely to make the platform a little stickier. Monetization, one, allowing for transactions on the platform. We also have the company looking to allow users to create content, sort of like a stories or a TikTok. I mean, these are all great ideas, but does it feel like they're a little behind the ball when you compare it to other platforms, other social media platforms that are out there?
To a certain extent, yes. But again, keep in mind that, as I mentioned earlier, that the users on Pinterest do have an intent to purchase something. So they come out there to look for, recipes, and that may lead to, of course, purchasing various ingredients and foods and so forth. They come out there to look for ideas regarding decorations, whether inside the home or outside. So that could lead to additional purchases. So all of those things actually attract the advertisers. And in terms of the e-commerce that you mentioned, the shopping list, we think, yes, they were late on that, but I think, again, with the user's intent to purchase, I think that will probably keep the users engaged a little bit more. They create that shopping list, so they could actually repeat those transactions and so forth. Then you're talking about the idea pins. Well, the idea pins, similar to stories or TikTok or even YouTube shorts, they actually increase engagement on there, which certainly attracts those ad dollars. So that's on the user side, that's on the content side. Another thing that we see that's really attractive in terms of actually bringing in the advertisers is the enhancements and or improvements that they've made on the ROI measurements. Basically the effectiveness of the ads that they place on that platform. So once the advertisers actually see that, hey, there is a pretty attractive ROI on the ads that I purchased on that platform, it's more likely that they will come back. So on both ends, whether it's the user side or the content side or the advertiser side, I think they're making pretty good enhancements, which will certainly help them to grow that top line further.
Well, that to me was always a standout too, especially when we saw kind of the the delete Facebook wave, and the issues that Twitter has had on their platform as well. Pinterest doesn't have to necessarily deal with misinformation. There's not a lot someone can lie about when it comes to your home furnishings or decor, I suppose. And when you look at, the emphasis to your point, average revenue per user also up more than 100% year over year. And as they improve on all those things you're talking about, it seems like things are looking good actually in the way that they've done it. But the stock down 20%, and you, as I said, upped your fair value from 69 to $71 increase. So I guess it would be fair to say, even despite that 20% decline here we're seeing today, you're more bullish given kind of the metrics that they gave in the quarter.
Well, yeah, Zach. I mean, that's the thing. You basically, when it comes to stocks, you buy low, right? So that 20% decline, we think actually could create an opportunity. We are looking for a slightly wider margin of safety. So we're thinking if it gets to the mid 50s, then that's where we recommend for new investors to get into the name. That's where we think it's actually safer to get into the name. But yeah, I mean, when it's declining, it creates a pretty good opportunity. On the fundamental side, everything is still going well for these guys. Fundamentals, they're executing pretty well. They are on their way to actually becoming GAAP profitable this year, which is what we projected. Top line growth or revenue growth will remain pretty strong. Again, while user growth is not going to be that impressive, it's going to be more than offset by that user monetization that we just talked about. So overall, we think things look pretty good for these guys in the short term and in the long run. And that's why we think, once it gets a little bit lower to the mid 50s, it will become more attractive.
Well, it was pretty far away from the mid 50s yesterday, obviously a lot closer after that big sell off. But Ali Mogharabi, Morningstar analyst, appreciate you coming on here to explain the bull case there. Be well.